So in this video, I want to be a lot contradictory. Yes. So we are all used to fundamental, technical, sentiment, or whatever. So, and I always mention the fact that if these three are not very clear to you, that as regards stock pick, do not buy that stock. Now, to a very large extent, um, even when fundamentals are not readily available, I've seen situations where a stock keeps popping up on macroeconomic data. How that certain investors position themselves ahead of breaking news that could eventually drive the company. I've started seeing certain trend in Oando, and I can't uh, categorically say that this is what is going to come out very soon. But some news, some headlines are adding up to the fact that are adding up and already telling me that Oando may pop in 2022. And I'm going to share two important headlines, two important news that's going to drive this share price. That is one. And I'm also going to share one technical setup. I'm going to share change in sentiment, how that price action is also supporting this news. So that tells me that something is brewing on Oando stock. Like I always tell you, please do your due diligence. This is my own personal research on Oando and why I think this stock will pop. I've been holding Oando since last year when I noticed the price action, and I'm still holding. I started buying Oando not because I think. There is a difference between buying a stock because you think and buying a stock because of certain facts and because of price action. So, price action tells you what is happening, market condition, and you have to move in line with that price action. Like they will say, follow the trend. So, today I want to talk about Oando. Now, one sad part of Oando is that it has not released its financials for I think a year plus right now. So if you go to NSC website and you check for Oando, this is Oando on the Just Exchange website. Now the last time it released, the last report it has released so far was Q3 2019, which is not good. I must admit and I must say that this is very bad. No investor will be interested in buying a stock that's not consistent in reporting. So this is one bad part. This is one downside. That's why you need to do your due diligence. You need to employ highest risk management strategy when buying into this stock. So I need to tell you this before I share the other parts. So this is the bad side, the downside of investing in Oando. So if this does not go well for you, kindly you can kindly stop the video or go watch other videos on my platform. And also feel free to subscribe and then also share your comments on previous analysis that I've shared on this video. And if you think you want to still go ahead to give it a shot, you want to try out Oando, then you might probably stay with me as I share some of the fundamental reasons, some of the key news that may drive the company, both from the fundamental perspective to the technical. So when I talk about fundamental here, it's not limited to financial statements. I'm looking at how economic news, industry events are actually going to drive this company going forward. And some of the key news that have been released lately, which also supports my analysis right now. So let's look at the first one. Now, a week ago, so ET Africa, Oando, or others led 450 billion gain in NSC index. So here you see, let me just read this. Following gains recorded by many blue chip companies, especially Airtel Africa, and Oando. The equities market sustained a rising profile yesterday as market capitalization appreciated further by 450 billion. At the close of trading yesterday, the all share index, which measures the performance of quoted companies, rose by 450 basis points or 0.1% to 43 and other about. So let's move quickly um, put down. Okay, so right here, you can see just as two companies that made their corporate action available to the market, good at dividend payments to reflect the numbers posted. Also, inflows into equities space is looking up slowly on changing investment decision to keep this trend ahead of New Year volatility. On the price movement chart, Airtel led the gainers chart with 10% to close at 1050, while Oando followed with 9.73% to close at 4.84. Now, when I saw this, I was like, what's actually driving this? What's the major driver? What's the catalyst behind 9.7% close on Oando? So this was a week ago. Then another news came out again on 5th that Oando joins Nigeria's 30 largest active companies. Oando joins Nigeria's 30 largest active companies. Now, Oando PLC has been included in the crucial index of Nigeria's 30 largest and most active companies, underlining the growing importance of the energy group as one of the most influential companies denoting the direction of the economy. The NGS yesterday published the result of its full year market review for the stock market index. The major highlight of the review, which is done twice a year, was inclusion of Oando as part of NSE 30. Now, what is NSE 30? NSE 30 is a weighted benchmark that tracks pricing and activity trend amongst Nigerian 30 largest companies. It has considerable influence over the overall market position and national economy as the 30 biggest companies account for more than two-thirds of Nigerian stock market capitalization. Now, NSE 30, the NGS noted that the stock market index were developed to allow investors to follow market movements and properly manage investment portfolio. Designed using the market capitalization methodology, the indices are rebalanced on a semi-annual basis on the first day in January and all that. You can read that. So, market analysts said the upscale of Oando to the NSE 30 index underscored sustained investors' appetite for the energy group, which led to considerable improvement in its market value and consistency of trading. NGS index has a primary place among the group and sectoral indices. The NGS began publishing the NGS 30 index in February 2019 with index value available from January 1 2007. So, what is NSC 30 index? Just like you see here, NSC 30 index is an index that tracks the value of all the 30 companies, top 30 companies by market capitalization in the market. Now, I'm sure that NSC 30 has a lot of criteria before they can include a company in that index. Why is NSC adding a company that has not released financial statements since 2019, Q3 2019? So that's another question that's actually begging for answer. So, but I think that for NSC to add Oando to its NSC 30 index, top 30 index, it actually does something. Now, before I tell you what it is, let's move to US markets. When Tesla was added to S&P 500 index as one of the top 500 companies in the market, you saw the effects on Tesla stock. Now, why did Tesla stock rally? Why does the stock pops when it's being added to a major index? When a stock is added to either Russell 2000, Nasdaq 100, or whatever index, what happened is that there are certain institutional investors, there are certain mutual funds, there are certain investment house that connect the performance of their portfolio to certain index. So whether they like the company or not, because they mimic that index, they would most likely buy that stock. So the reason Tesla popped when it was added to SPS was because we had a lot of ETFs that tracks the performance of these top 500 companies. We have a lot of indices. So it's natural for the fund managers to reshuffle their portfolio, take out the companies that was removed from that index, and then add the new ones. What are they doing? They are tracking the performance. So when you track the performance of certain index or certain sector, you are supposed to buy all the companies that represent that sector or index. It's a simple fact. Whether you like the company or not, as long as it's part of that index, you are supposed to buy. If you do not buy it, you are not tracking the performance. So you can't say, oh, because I do not like Oando, then if I'm going to build a model that tracks the performance of top 30 companies, I'm not going to add Oando. You are not mimicking that index. You are not following the plan. That's not how you track the performance of an index. So if today NSE say we are going to add ABC to NSE 30 index, for instance, by default, you are supposed to add ABC to your portfolio if it tracks the performance of NSE 30 index. So what does that mean? It means that investors who design their portfolio around NSE 30 should start mopping up what Oando stock. So which account for the gradual increase that you've noticed on Oando. So that is why Oando stock had been rallying, because fund managers are now reshuffling their portfolio, especially the ones that only invest in top 30 stocks. Now, if an asset manager or a brokerage company also has an index or ETF that is designed around NSE 30 index, they will most likely buy Oando stock. So that's one strong reason the stock had been what? Up. You can see right here, this was in January 5, that's 10 days ago. Today is 15th. And then you would see from this date again, which was 6, you can see a day after it was announced, Oando led price gain. What could have caused that? It's as simple as that I've just shared with you here. So the price gain that you're seeing right here was mostly driven by this news. That is one. Now the second part now is, what is the sustainability of this growth? We do not have any financials to confirm the profitability of this company, the stability, and also the liquidity of this company. There is no Q4 2020 to check whether this company is profitable, to check whether they are low levered, they are less exposed to debt, and also to check whether they have enough cash to cover up short term expenses. Now, I've also seen situations where a company's share price is driven by macro events, sectoral events. That is one of the reasons I've been buying Oando since last year, because I felt the companies will definitely benefit from that energy. The surge in energy has been so high that I am so sure that Oando will benefit. So even if it's not a company related event, it's going to be an industry or sector related event, which it's very strong, which is even quite stronger than, because sectoral event helps you forecast the financial result ahead of their reporting period. So, and what's that event that has been driving Oando? The surge in energy prices, surge in oil prices, and surge in gas prices. So, what is the business of Oando first? So, let's look at it. Yes, Oando is a Nigerian multinational energy company operating in the upstream, midstream, and downstream. In July 2000, Oando started a tripartite agreement with Vital. But here's my point: upstream, upstream. So which upstream, midstream, and downstream. So now Oando is involved in oil. They also involved in gas, and these products have been surging lately. Oil and gas has been surging lately, and it's actually built to surge higher. Now let's look at the price of crude oil and gas price. So what's crude oil and gas price? It's important that we also look at these two commodities. So at this point is I think it closed at Let me go back to confirm this once again. So we're looking at WTI. Okay. So crude oil closed the week at 84.39, so up 7.03%. So that's so the market has been surging lately. Besides, the energy sector ranks among the top performing of all the sectors in the US market. So let me show you where I got that from. So if you go to FinViz and you check groups, so you notice that you can see one day energy sector went up by 2%. In the last 1 week, the energy sector outperformed other. Last 1 month, the energy, and then last 3 months, energy, last 6 months, energy, last 1 year, energy. So you can see that energy sector had been a top performer in the last 1 year, 6 months, year to date, 1 week, and all that. So, and you then begin to ask why? Why is energy surging higher? Now, bearing all news, rising demand, lifting of ban across different regions and all that, there is a new development. There is a trend that would likely support this surging price. And my forecast this year is that energy price might top $100. And I'm going to show you the technical part of this forecast and also the fundamental part of this forecast. So why did I say so? Let's look at the energy market. Now, this is the monthly price. I like to look at a market from the monthly perspective. So I want to see where it's coming from the last 5, 7, 6, 7, 5, 7, 8 years or thereabout. Now, you notice how I've drawn my two key important trend line. Now, as energy surges from a low, you can see here from after the dip in March, you can see how it surged to reach this previous resistance. The previous resistance before this dip was around 74. You can see how it surged to that 74, pull back a little bit, paused, eventually clears it. Then the market pulls back a little bit and buyer steps in immediately. So this became a strong support. It was previous resistance, which was between July 2018, and then was also support in August 2010, and was also support in 2007, and then resistance in 2006. So you can see how energy eventually clears that region. So the nearest resistance right now, as we look at energy, is what? 100. That's why I said 100 is a key point, because we do not have any resistance in sight at this point. Energy is going to 100. We had a pullback from here, and then can you see the pullback from here down here? It pulled back from a high of 82, then back to this region. Remember what I always tell you: support is not an exact price, it's a region. So we had a pullback for like 1 month, and then it started again, which all happened within this key level right here. So buyers were able to step in and then took the price out. Right now, it's on track to beat its 1, 2, 3, 4, its 4 month high of $85. That is around 84.39. So look at this. We do not have any resistance in sight on crude oil right now. So the nearest resistance, like you can see here, is the 106 dollar mark, which was tested 1, 2, 3, 4 before before a major crash. So it was tested in 2011, was tested in 2012, was tested in 2013, and then 2014. So this is the key level that is actually ahead of price right now. So I am seeing a rally to 100. What is the fundamental news that's going to drive this? Let's look at the macro news. One major news that's going to drive this rally is the geopolitical tension between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is a major energy supplier, crude oil and gas, especially to Europe. Now, Russia is threatening to cut its supply if the West interferes in its affairs with Ukraine. There is a news on CNBC right now, as at yesterday. You can see US intelligence agency points to potential Russia invasion of Ukraine within a month's time. Within a month's time. You can see here. Now, here is the point that I'm trying to share with you right now. Now, the US has pledged to respond to any military incursion with unprecedented economic sanction on members of Russia President Vladimir Putin's inner circle. But that could trigger retaliatory moves by Moscow against the West, up to and including, you can see here, cuts in the energy that flows from Russia to the rest of the world. Russia is the largest supplier of oil, natural gas, and coal to Europe. Now, can you see the point here? This is what I think will likely drive the surge in energy price. When supply is limited, it's natural for demand for price to go up, as assuming demand remains constant. And you've seen that demand for energy has been growing lately. So the cut in supply right now, it's a major driver. This is what I think will drive the price of oil to $100. From the technical perspective to the fundamental perspective, there is already a confirmed trend that oil is going to $100. So if this happens, it's going to happen faster. So we could see oil top $100 very soon if that happens before the end of 2022. So this is a major forecast. When this happens, then the price of oil will surge, which we already know, and then expect that macroeconomic indicator to rub off on energy stocks. To rub off on energy stocks. So one stocks that have been buying in the US market is MTDR. I think I've mentioned that on members of my private community. I've already shared two stocks they should buy ahead of this surge. Then right here in Nigeria, I think this will rub off on Oando stock too. So it's an industry event that is going to rub. So whether the company is good or bad, for the fact that the product is sell, for the fact that the price of the product itself is surging, it's going to be a positive news. So when a company's product price increases, it's just like Netflix, sorry. Netflix just announced an increase in its subscription. And what happened? The share price popped. It's as simple as that. There's no two ways about it. So if you go to news to check that, you can see here Netflix raises monthly subscription price. See here, Netflix monthly subscription price, and that's automatically, you can see here 1.5 to 1. You can check that out, and the share price went up because of that. So it's normal for a company share price to go up when its industry is experiencing boom. So this is why I think Oando share also follow suit. Now, what is the technical setup of Oando stock right now? This is what I want to see. Price action. Remember, I don't trade based on what I think. I trade based on what it is. There's a difference. I don't like to attach emotions to stock. I do not do that. I like to follow price action. Okay, with all this stuff, what are buyers saying? What is the sentiment in the market right now? So this is what the sentiment is right now. Now you can see how Oando stock has been moving gradually from a low of 2.3 naira. That is after the March dip. You can see how the stock has been climbing gradually. You can see here to be forming higher low, low one, low two, and then low three, and then be forming higher high, higher here and here. So you can see how the stock has been climbing gradually. Now the stock is right trading above its 20 days right now. You see, and then climbed, now trading above the 50 days. Now in the last between 2016 and 2020 or 2021, that's June 2021, you can see how the stock has traded largely below the 50 days. So when the stock is trading below its 50 days, it's like a sign of short-term downtrend. When it's trading below above the 50 days, it's a sign of short-term uptrend. So notice how Oando popped up, that's in July, by 48% above, which took it above its 50 days moving average. Now you can notice the pullback. Now I already have my key level, so which means the pullback um was paused. The full pullback found resistance. Sorry, the pullback was paused around this key region. You can see there was a restriction on the pullback, and then right now you can see retracement. This month is already up by 7%. So we had pullback in the last 1, 2, 3, between 3, 4, 5 months ago. Oando had actually pulled back. So this seems to have ended from what I see here, because the 50 days moving average is holding up, which also coincide with a major support line. This was previous resistance, this was resistance, this was support here. You can see here, and there was support right here. So this also is now holding as a major support. So where is the next resistance on Oando? You can see right here, I already have my key level to 10 naira. Now, I do not want to say that Oando stock will top 10 naira. I don't want to be too optimistic or exaggerate. So my next target on Oando should be around 7 naira if the stock price continues to rally. Now, looking at the macroeconomic news that I just shared with you right now, if oil eventually tops 90 naira, 100 naira, Oando should top 7 naira. What is the driver? Sectoral events, economic indicators. These are the most powerful factor that drives share price, and not really the financials. Why? Because before the financials are released, these indicators gives you signs ahead. It tells you, it's as simple as that. When there's inflation, you know that consumer goods stocks, especially companies that sell inelastic products, are likely going to raise their prices to cover up for increasing costs and also add more margin. And that's also going to add up to bottom line. So this is exactly what it's going to playing out here. Fundamental factor is not limited to financials. Don't always limit your analysis to financials. Sometimes look at what is happening in the economy, sectoral events, and see how you could pick stocks that will benefit from that event. So this is why I think Oando stock could rally to 7 naira if oil price tops $100 very soon. So that's why Oando should be a stock to watch. Like I told you before, please do your due diligence. I have only shared this based on my own personal research from technical perspective, fundamentals, and also macroeconomic events and all that. So which I think looks a bit stronger than just that single delay in financial statements. So if you have any comments or feedbacks, feel free. Let's talk about this stock. Let's discuss Oando. Do you think Oando is a stock to own? Do you have more downside factors to share? You can also use the comment section. I'll be glad to take your feedbacks, as we're here to share and learn. Now, thank you so much. I want to use the opportunity to thank you, my subscribers, for for the feedbacks and then the subscriptions that I've recorded so far. It's been quite impressive and all that. So thank you so much. And if you're new to this channel, kindly hit the subscription button and then join our conversation.